Advanced Reddit ads with Dekker Fraser. So far, I found that awareness is the single best campaign objective. That's even true if you're trying to generate direct sales. This is also partially implied by Reddit itself when you look at where they think that they're the strongest, and it's basically brand awareness. Now, this is going to change, and it's probably going to change very quickly as they invest more and more in the bottom of the funnel, using things like AI to help optimize conversions. But so far, I just haven't really been getting any serious results from things like traffic or conversions. You get a bunch of clicks, probably from robots, and they don't really go anywhere. I've had some glitchy experiences with catalog sales. So the safest thing for the time being is brand awareness, even if you're trying to generate a direct response. Community targeting, although it's effective, is not what you think. So ads don't actually have to appear in that community itself. Really what you're doing is you're targeting members of the community or people who interacted with the community recently. In Reddit, you have two retargeting options. The first is website retargeting, which is typically what you see in advertising programs. And then you also have Reddit engagement retargeting. With engagement retargeting, you can see that there are different types. There's people who engaged with your ads, people who have seen your ads, so not all advertising programs have that option, people who clicked your ads, and people who watched your videos. There are basically two places where you can set up these audiences. The first is when you set up an ad group. You can go to the custom audience and hit create new. The other option is to go to the audiences manager, which you can find here. And then you'll be able to create a new audience, a new custom audience. One trick that I use is I use Sparktoro to identify the communities and keywords on Reddit that most influence my target customers. So for example, I put in product managers as an example. I hit Reddit on the left here, and I'm able to see, okay, product managers are engaged mostly with the productivity subreddit, so I could choose to run ads there. I can type in Udemy and find out, okay, where do Udemy users or people who frequently visit the website udemy.com, what subreddits are they participating in, and then run ads in there. The other thing you can do is you can hit this tab in Sparktoro called comment text, and you can see what kinds of keyword ideas you can come up with. So you can see Sparktoro can actually be a good starting point to influence how you set up your Reddit advertising. Another thing I've noticed is when you're looking at Reddit on your browser on mobile, so not using the application, you're not going to be able to see the image in a large form. It's always only going to be displayed small. So make sure you do quality assurance, because often users, when you're doing keyword placements or you're doing mobile placements on browsers, they're not going to see the full ad. They're not going to see the full video, the full carousel, etc. Make sure your time frame includes today. So I've run into mistakes where I've made huge adjustments to campaigns and I see, okay, well, I'm not getting any results. What's going on? And the reason is simply that I didn't include today. Sometimes it's left out by default. Another trick is that sometimes your totals and the breakdowns are out of sync. So you would expect the total number of clicks or the total number of impressions to equal the sum of the clicks and impressions from every subcategory. So for example, if you have a breakdown by community, what I found in my case is there seems to be a delay there. So if you wait maybe 12, 24 hours, that can get fixed. Other people, that delay wasn't fixed just with time. So it may be something you need to put in a support request for. Other reasons for delays, it might be that people are associated with multiple communities. So if one person is associated with multiple communities and it's not a unique person per community, then you're going to get a bit of out of sync data there. So be conscious of that if you see some anomalies. To prevent your ads from getting rejected, there are a number of things you can do, like avoid spammy type things. But two of the most important are make sure you have a privacy policy and a terms of use on your landing page and before your ads are submitted for approval, because if you do it after the fact, they won't automatically be reviewed. There is currently no frequency capping, and there's also no detailed demographic targeting. So I found that a little bit limiting. I'd like to see what my frequency is. So to be conservative, you can optimize for maximum reach to minimize the frequency. You can specify communities that are highly relevant to try to get to the right demographic. And you can use negative targeting, which I'll go into a bit of detail with later. Use the Help Center. So I was a bit thrown off by the Help Center because it's hosted on Salesforce.com, not on Reddit. That was a bit confusing, but it is the official help desk. And I've used this, for example, because I had trouble with the catalog sales objective, which has very strict requirements for things like what the image is. You can see the table of different requirements for the price, the character limits. So if you're running into the nitty-gritty details, like how big should the carousel image size be, go to this website, reddit.my.site.com/help-center, and you're going to get the detailed information that you need. Another trick is to go to View Insights. So you can see here, there are going to be 3 little dots. And when you click that, you can go to View Insights. And here are the community details I can see. Okay, most impressions are in the SaaS subreddit, followed by the Udemy subreddit, and then micro SaaS. There's a data table here of impressions per subreddit, click-through rate, clicks, etc. You can see the most clicks came from the SaaS subreddit. And then I can do a breakdown here. Most impressions, least clicks, least video views, etc. Now, we also have another tab here. So by default, it goes to community, but we can also go to keyword. And then we can see keywords, for example, that generated the most clicks were Udemy, followed by advertising class. So we can see advertising class here got 12 clicks at a 0.506 click-through rate. You also want to customize your columns if you're not getting the data you want. For example, under video, I went to watches at 75%. You can go to the return on ad spend within your app marketing campaign, for example, if you want to see that as a KPI. Campaign lifetime budgets can be set at the campaign level. So I just want to read these details here. So specify how much your campaign should spend over its lifetime. Campaigns will never be billed more than their budgeted amount. Campaign lifetime budgets are always optional and do not affect pacing. Each ad group will be served based on pacing/delivery options in the following page. So one thing that I want you to make sure of is that there's not a conflict between the budget you set at the campaign level and the budget you set at the ad group level, because I've had that happen where I fixed one and not the other, and then my ads don't serve, and the reason is because I didn't check both of them. So here is really where the more detailed budgeting happens, and it's at the ad group level. So the first option here is lifetime. So for this one, you can see I set a lifetime test budget of $160, but you can also change that to daily and go with something like $50 per day. One thing you really need to be mindful of is the end date if you set a lifetime budget, because your ad is going to stop, and setting the end date in the ad group level is also going to affect the pacing, unlike with the community budget setting or with the campaign level budget setting. So essentially, Reddit is going to try to spread out your ads as evenly as possible. So if you want to spend it quickly, then make sure you put the end date as a sooner time frame instead of, say, a month in the future. I've run into problems where Reddit just wasn't spending my money fast enough, so I had to play around with the budgeting and play around with the end dates of the campaigns to get it right. Carousel ads have unique content at the bottom of every card. So you can see here on this card, I have number 1 product marketing course. And then on the second card, new product management course. And I have a distinctive URL here with the coupon code and a distinctive URL here with the coupon code. However, the title at the top does not change. So you need an evergreen title there. Now, to monitor Carousel Ad Performance, what you do is you hit this breakdown button and hit carousel card, and then you're going to see a breakdown card by card. So if with this campaign, we can see that the only card generating clicks is the first one. One of the most important breakdown options is by placement. So here, for example, you can see that for conversations, my placements had a lower CPM. However, for the feed, I had a lower cost per click. So you want to monitor that, not necessarily just to see which is performing better, but because it helps inform the creative in terms of should you be focusing on the feed with the large imagery or the conversations with the small placements. And in my experience so far, I found the feed more effective. You can also do breakdown by community. So in this case, there are only 2 communities, but often you'll see a long list here, maybe 10 communities. You can see micro SaaS had the lower CPM of these 2, and it also had the lower CPC. However, the reach is much smaller, so it's actually a lower, smaller opportunity versus the SaaS subreddit community. In my experience, I generally found that the community targeting works better than the keyword targeting. That's just been my experience. I am sure that as the AI improves very quickly with Reddit, we might start to see more opportunities with the keywords. And just as one example, this isn't the only test that I ran or anything, but we can see that I only got 1 click and it cost $12 with this keyword campaign, whereas with the awareness campaign targeting primarily communities, I got 148 clicks. I think people just don't really notice the keyword placements. Check budgeting by campaign and ad group. Dynamic and automated ads. When you create a new ad, you can select which ad group it goes into, and then you can select this option, automated ad creation. Use multiple headlines and media to create ads dynamically and deliver the ad that performs the best. So let's go into some more details. Another option here is to hit these 3 dots and hit plus automated ad creation. And that's where you're going to see these options here. So you can see that the name of it is automatically indicated here using this code, and you're able to type in multiple headlines. So I typed in here headline A, headline B. You could put in value proposition C, you could put in a benefit, you could put in a case study, add some different images, some different videos. And then we have a more advanced option in terms of ads. Another thing is to monitor conversions or pipeline using coupon codes or UTM codes, which is going to help with your marketing operations and your CRM like Salesforce. For example, I use this code Reddit B45, etc., and I'm able to track how much revenue came in from that specific coupon code. Bulk imports can help you if you're trying to save time. If you're not doing this at scale, then don't bother with it. You have 2 different inventory options. There's expanded inventory and then there's standard inventory. So for example, with the expanded one, there might be some moderate profanity. There might be references to drugs. It's not the most conservative placements you can get. Whereas here, you're only dealing with light profanity, and it's basically a more restricted conservative approach. And often that's the approach I prefer to take in general, just to limit the amount of garbage inventory that advertising platforms tend to shove you into. As you start to level up in Reddit ads, you're going to want to start getting other people, admin assistants, etc., managing the ads for you. So make sure you go into the member section, manage permissions. You can add people with different levels of permissions. So I was able, for example, to make 12 different campaigns to test with my assistant, and she was able to make adjustments to each of those, and then I can just sort of go eat some popcorn, something like that. Use desktop targeting if you want to be very conservative. So we know those are going to be perhaps when people are most focused. They're also more likely to take action if you have a landing page where people need to sign up or fill out a long form. So you can adjust the placement for devices as custom here and just check off desktop. I'm not saying you should always do that, but if you really want to be conservative with an awareness campaign, for example, you can do that. I would definitely do that with Facebook ads. Use the event manager. So I was talking about UTM codes and coupon codes, but definitely if you're tracking leads through your landing page or sales through your landing page, you're going to want to work with your events manager here and test it to make sure it's working. So for example, this one we can see there's no recent event, but there was a total of 134 events. So at least we know it's working. We can install the Reddit pixel, we can set up Google Tag Manager, or we can just send the details to your developer. To install the pixel, you can go to this website and get a detailed breakdown of how to do that. If you also want additional ways to be conservative and safe with your advertising, you can use some negative targeting. So we can exclude certain communities. The example here is politics, exclude keywords like foodie. So when I was going through my data, I saw, okay, a lot of the people that were interested in my topics we're also interested in things like food and things that were just really not relevant at all to the topic that I'm promoting. So I put those in as negative keywords to be safe. You can view the history of changes in your campaign by hitting the 3 dots and going to view history. So we can see, okay, this was paused, maybe some changes were made at this time, etc. So you can backtrack, especially if you made a mistake. And one little trick here is you definitely want to duplicate to help save time. So you just hit the 3 dots and hit duplicate, and then you can create a duplicate ad group and make some changes to that one, sort of as a way of doing a test to see which type performs the best.